All right. In three, in two, in one. Welcome to the Yogi Show. I'm very excited. We have the Bad Yogi, Erin Motz on. Erin, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Pretty
We're
good.
doing great. I loved when you did this thing. It reminds me of a photo I did. My daughter and I, we did these beach yoga photo shoot, and she did with the hands underneath her chin, and I did the same thing. And then I did like a who wore it better. I got zero fan votes. I got zero.
That's
My
rude.
daughter got all the fan votes.
So rude.
Yeah,
Kids take all the attention off of you. I mean, it's
they
just
do.
All the validation, all the attention. It's like,
yes.
give me some likes. Give me some likes,
Yeah,
please.
give me some validation. Thanks, Erin. Erin, for coming back onto the Yogi Show. Erin was on season 1 of the Yogi Show, y'all. She's on the comeback train, on the comeback series with us, hanging out. So we're super grateful that you're taking the time out of your busy schedule. This is the 766th time we've tried to schedule this podcast, everybody, and it's officially happening. And we're so excited to have Erin here with us along for the show. So big thank you to you, and thank you to Brian. I saw Brian yesterday. So if you're not on YouTube and you're listening, then you can't see us. But I saw Brian yesterday because we recorded, and I swear his beard got like 3 times longer in one day. I don't know what's going on over there, Brian, but
Yeah, I don't know either. I went to comb it like right before this, and yeah, I was like, how did it get this long overnight? I don't know. I told you I might be a Marvel character, a villain, and it's coming. Like just the bearded guy. I don't know.
It's happening. It's happening. Halloween's around the corner. We're recording this episode just before Halloween. Erin, what are you being for Halloween?
Okay, so I have a 2-year-old who's obsessed with the farm and all farm animals. So he has decided to be a chicken costume. He is not a chicken. He specifically says, like, when you ask him what he's going to be for Halloween, it's a chicken costume. So I'm going to be a farmer. I mean, really basic. I can't even say it's very interesting, but we were, young kids, they don't know anything. You can just, they don't want to
Yeah.
be cool.
It's either they don't know anything or they know everything. I go both ways on like, wait, you know everything about life. Just be happy and play.
Yeah,
And then here I am like stressing out. Like we have to eat dinner at 6:07. You're like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna eat some crackers and watch this TV show.
Right.
Right.
They're wiser than us, but they're also kind of dumb, which makes life a little easy when they're little. So
Yeah.
it's funny how that combination works.
Are you gonna eat all his candy?
Yes. 100%.
Okay. That's the best thing about taking kids trick-or-treating. It's like I have to examine the candy. I have to make
Mhm.
sure,
Safe.
it's safe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you-
Yeah.
One
have
for
y'all
me, one for you.
Have y'all seen
Yeah.
those YouTube pranks? I think it was on TikTok too, where they like the
Yes.
parent, like the kid wakes up the next day, comes upstairs, just like one Tootsie Roll left inside the bucket. Have you
Yes.
guys seen that? And the
Yeah.
parent is like, sorry, we just got really hungry
Ate
last
all
night.
of it.
We ate all of it. That's so horrible.
It's terrible.
But,
I mean, that's eating the candy that they collect is just the tax that they pay for having parents, Like,
Exactly.
I need it.
Yes.
Heard's the word on that one. Heard's the
Yeah.
word.
For all the sleepless nights, like just give me some candy, please.
Right.
Now.
It's the least you could possibly do.
Well, Erin, your sense of humor is so good. When we had you on the show originally, back in the first season, Brian was like going hard on TikTok. I was like, Brian kept telling me every day, and I was like, yeah. And then I didn't really do anything. And I think we had just talked about, I think literally you had just started your TikTok platform. Then I think so, but don't quote me because like 2020. And but I remember it was like you had like a few posts at some point, and then now you've grown that platform to something else. So, a lot of these comeback series conversations is like, okay, pre-pandemic we had a conversation and life was going in this direction, and then like now we're going over here. So like, what has life been like for you these last 20 months or whatever this is? And, how have you pivoted and shifted as far as like your business and like mindset? I'm like, hey, this is kind of the direction of the path I want to go with my life, business, etc.
I feel like the direction is more or less the same. Just the medium we've used to get there has evolved a little bit. Like when I first got on TikTok, I got on there knowing that, if you're making content, you have to be on this platform. Like it's clearly the one that's growing. So, we have to be on there. It was actually my husband who was telling me, who's also my business partner. He's like, you have to get on TikTok. And I was kind of resistant to it for a while because, like when you switch to another platform, it's really intimidating to try to think of what am I going to do here? And TikTok is so different from Instagram. It requires so much more, like, I don't know, it's more performative than Instagram, in my opinion, So it was an intimidating jump, but I just decided, after kind of just messing around for a while and doing nonsense, I was like, okay, I think this is what the direction I'm going to go in. And I've just gone full in, and I've tried to be really, really militant with myself about that. Like, I mean, I've obviously missed days and here and there, but yeah, I'm like, every day I have to put something out, and I've just stayed really committed to that. And yeah, I don't know. It's been interesting.
Yeah, I see on the For You page all the time, and
Oh,
your
really?
tips on there. Yeah, I do. Like,
Hmm.
I love it. Like every time I go on, I see like a tip from you, and it's like, it's so like, I wouldn't say like branded, but like consistent. It's like you have like
Mhm.
the same background, and it's like, okay. And like you
It's
get me
her.
like sucked in with
Yeah.
the tip. It's like, okay, yeah, I need like my hips are tight or something. Like, help me out.
Yeah.
Help me out.
Yeah.
Show me what's up. Give me a couple tips. And like, it's fast, it's easy. And like,
Mm.
I love it. I love it because, yeah, when we had talked before, it was just such a new territory. I was getting on it. Like, I didn't know most people on it were just dancing or
Yeah.
teenagers or,
Yeah.
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 Figuring
Like,
it out.
how
Yeah.
is anybody going to care about yoga or meditation?
Right. But
Yeah. It's like,
it's crazy to see, like, actually there's all these different niches within TikTok that are actually pretty substantial, like you have mom talk, and you have yoga TikTok, and you have all these different subsets of like crazy niche groups where you're like, okay, wow, I did not know that was a thing,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like the beginning part of that. We said that, Erin, and that's good for the listener out there. Like, if you're starting something new and you're unsure how it's going to evolve, and like there's this giant frog that you have to eat to start, like when you just start, like you just started, like you kind of mess around with it, and then you get some ideas and inspiration from it, just literally playing around on the platform, or doing something within the scope of like, hey, maybe if I try this, or maybe if I like that, and then you hit like, something clicks at some point. But it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't click on like post number one, or like on day one of teaching a yoga class. Like day one, it's like, shit, oh, I got this shit. Like, maybe not. Maybe that's like day 273. But you have to get to day 273. And you're not going to get there if you get overwhelmed in the beginning, overthinking it. Like chronic
Totally.
overthinker. Like, boom,
Yeah.
yeah. Put that shit aside.
Totally. It's so true. It's so hard to start something because, nobody wants to speak to crickets, nobody wants to like put something out there. Like, you put all this effort in, and then like nobody watches it, or I think it's worse if you get 10 views than if you get 0. And so like that always feels really bad. But I have definitely learned that, for me anyway, like, you have to this is what I tell myself, you have to be okay with like being embarrassed sometimes, like
Yeah.
falling flat on your face, whatever, I don't care. And I heard this is like a really funny, serious thing to relate back to TikTok, but that's the approach. And a long time ago, I listened to this motivational speaker. His name was Les Brown, and I think he's dead now. Like, he's super old school.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he had this whole speech that he talked about where, like, you have to be the person who just, no matter what, like, you're going to keep going. It doesn't matter if you get laughed at, it doesn't matter how many times you fail, you're just going to keep moving forward. And if you keep moving forward, like, you will get to whatever end goal you're trying to get to. And it's so simple, but I think that this idea of how you define yourself to yourself makes all the difference in the world when it comes to how you're going to approach, starting something new or pursuing something that you want. So, I just sort of heads down and accept the fact that I'm going to look really dumb sometimes, because something I put out there is not going to land, or nobody's going to watch it, or I'm going to get a ton of hate, which has happened and is very hard. But like, I don't care. I'm just going to keep going, and I'll have these failures behind me. It's fine, but I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
what we learned about. Go ahead, Brian.
I was just going to say, I love that we have you on the show, because I feel like you can relate to what we do so much in terms of like, how the traditional yogis and some of the hate we get. And it's like, you're not a yogi and blah, blah, blah. I really, yeah, I love that you're on and you can relate to us because
Just taking
yeah,
taking L's.
we're doing other stuff. Yeah, taking
Taking
L's.
L's in cancel culture daily. Taking L's in
Plenty.
cancel culture.
Definitely. You know, it's funny. I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I truly could not care less if like traditional yoga people come at me for not being this or not being that. I seriously don't care at all. I think what gets me worse is when you get those people who start saying things to you that echo your own insecurities, you know? So it's not the yoga people, it's like that echo, well, maybe, you know, you don't know what you're talking about, or your beard's too big. I don't know. Like when all those little things that you think negatively about yourself, then you start hearing in comments and you're like, oh my God, those things get me more than like yoga people. I don't give a shit about yoga people.
I feel that.
It's like getting exposed, you know, but it goes back to what you said earlier. It's like, if you define your own truth and your path, right, and you walk the path, eventually you're going to get there. All the haters are just going to be behind you in the dust as you walk the path. And Karen, I just said Karen. I wasn't talking about Erin. I was just literally thinking about Karen.
Freudian slip here. Karen's on your mind.
No. Karen in her basement, you know, commenting, you know, about like all the commenting because she's miserable and it's so sad that she's saying these negative things about you or whoever, like on any platform, right? And I meant to say, like, you know, there's someone out there, but Karen just came out of my mouth because it probably is her out there, you know. And the reality is, like, that person's suffering and they're sharing, you know, they're putting their junk like out there into the internet where they can just vomit wherever, and then someone's gonna read it, and then like they're just trying to bring the vibration down because they're not up vibrating where you are, you know. So
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I know that you can't, there's no way to build anything of substantial influence without having those people. Like, it's inevitable. People who are perfect, you know, and like saints have people who are walking behind them with their pitchforks saying how bad they are. So, you know, it's part of the game.
It is.
Yeah. Part of the game. And I love seeing fellow creators like go to a different app and then crush it, you know, just because I love seeing the process, you know, because there's really like almost like a formula that I don't know. I know I've talked to Pedro about it, but there really is a formula, and it's like trying, you know, it's like seeing what's going to work. And like you said, being persistent and keep going, and like what content is working on this app. And then like you found it because I saw like what you were posting before, and I remember you had like 2 or 3 like pretty viral videos like at first. And then you got into like the tutorials. I'm like, oh, she like found it. So it was really cool seeing like the progression.
And you have so much knowledge, Erin. You're so smart. The nascent stuff that you have to share, like, is, man, when you're talking about anterior pelvic tilt, I'm like, I suck at yoga. Like, I don't even know.
Well, thanks. Thanks
Erin,
for putting yourself
Erin,
down.
What's an anterior pelvic tilt? Can you share with me? All I'm talking about over here is like, feel your left hand touch the yoga block.
I'm like getting out notes like to your videos. I'm like, all right, replay.
Just scribing over here.
Yeah. Take your and her training. For sure.
I appreciate it.
Erin, do you have trainings or no? Have you ever held a teacher training?
No. So I used to teach the anatomy portion of some of the teacher trainings in my city, like a long time ago when I lived in Florida.
Yeah.
And yeah, I used to do that, which is super cool. I really enjoyed that. So I would like to, you know, running a whole training, I don't think is for me, but you know, I had, or at least not right now, but I had an idea. You know, I think a lot of people, like, don't you know those yogis who they want to do teacher training, not to teach, just to like learn more. Yeah. And I feel like I actually want to offer, it couldn't be called a teacher training, but something like mini that is specific. It's not Yoga Alliance, you know, it's nothing like that. It's just something a little bit more concentrated for people who want to expand their knowledge, but don't necessarily want to teach. So there's no pressure. Like, I'm not going to test you on anything. There's nothing like that. It's just like all of this stuff that I know, not all of it, but how can I like dilute the most important stuff, the most interesting stuff, and like give people that, you know?
Yeah.
It's like,
So
I
it's
thought
like
about doing that.
yeah, it's like a workshop, but not a work. Like it's whatever like
Broader. Yeah,
between the workshop and the training, like whatever that is, it's called like the Bad Yogi thing. Like insert here.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I do a lot. I do a lot of workshops and I love that stuff. And I think that's like my favorite thing to do is get more in depth into all of this. So I would like to do some kind of training, but not yoga teacher training in that
Sure.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think there's a, I mean, and you have a great audience, you know, and we're going to talk about this. We talked about before the show, y'all, about like how like sometimes Brian, Erin, Brian, me, like we kind of go unnoticed in some parts of like on our path over the years. We've been doing this stuff Erin's been doing it longer than Brian and I've been alive. But but the reality is we've
Rude.
oh yeah, very rude. Sorry. Erin, you've been teaching for like 15 years? How long have you been teaching for?
Yeah,
20?
I think technically it's like 17, but yeah, it's so
like
wild.
a long time. So,
Yeah.
you know, and it's amazing to see like the progression of growth when you really have your own brand and your own thing and you're just all in on you. And you're like, okay, I've like partnerships come to some people's ways, things fall in other people's laps. And it's like we're not getting handouts all the time. Like everything that each and every one of us that's here on this screen right now, it's earned, like earned by putting like, you know, chopping wood, carrying water, fingers in the dirt, digging the hole. Like all the stuff is been earned. And I think there's a lot of value in that because Erin, you've done it on your own, bootstrap. Like you figured the shit out, you know, and I think that's really inspiring, you know. What is the one thing that you would say to somebody out there that's like, hey, it's starting, and it's like they keep going and they're like, oh, it's hard. Like it's, you know, because entrepreneurship is hard. Like what is a piece of advice you give for someone out there? It's like, hey, I'm just trying to start something, or I'm been 4 years into it and I'm still trying to get traction.
I think there's a couple things. So, you know, for people who get stuck on the pre-beginning, you know, like, oh, how do I just start? I don't know how to just start. I don't know how to just begin. I'm kind of like, dude, I mean, at some point, tough love, do something. Like you have to take a step. No one's going to make you. No one's going to beg you, you know? Like there are very few people who have like such a strong idea or such a strong something that people are going to be like, please start this thing and offer it. That's not going to happen. So at some point you just have to do something, and you have to accept the fact that the first thing you do, the first step you take might not be right. It might be terrible. Like you mentioned with TikTok, we'll just keep using that as an example.
Sure.
You know, like the videos that I start with, if you go back to the beginning, they have nothing to do with what I do now. I was just trying to see what works. Like, what do people respond to? I don't know. And in my case, I was like, okay, well, I have to create content that relates back to what I offer as a service in my business. And, you know, I'm a mom, but I don't sell anything that has to do with that. So I'm a yogi.
Yeah.
How do I translate what I do into something that's you know, consumable on TikTok? So yeah, you have to just start. Nobody's going to beg you to do that. Just take a step. And then if it's been a long time and you're not getting traction, I think you have to reevaluate, you know, like you can't be, I have a tattoo that the only tattoo I have is on my arm and you can't really see, but it says it's not that precious. And this is my constant reminder that like, if it's not working, do something different, you know, like even if the idea might be great, but how you're presenting it or the platform you're presenting it on might just not be the thing, you know, might not be the place you need to be. So like, don't build up in your head like, oh, I've spent so much time talking about this one thing and nobody wants it. Drop it, you know, like try something else. Who cares? Like, it's not that precious. It's not that delicate. It's okay to just go in a different direction, say it differently. So yeah, I would say those are the two things.
It's really good advice. That really is. It's like, yeah, because sometimes like in my head, I'm like, this is going to be great. You know, I'm going to go this way. Then I get those 10 views.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? I'm
I
like,
hate
that means
myself.
like, that means the algorithm was working. And then it's just like, no,
yes,
you know, if I get 0, it's like, okay, yeah, it's a platform. Like it's down or something, but 10, I'm like, oh, that means 10 people saw it, hated it. And then they're like, I'm not showing this piece of crap content. It's not funny at all.
Yes.
2 hours later.
Yeah.
Yeah. After 2 hours of editing it, I'm like, okay, that was a big fail.
And isn't it so like, I admire people like you guys who, or like comedy is your thing. Trying to be funny is such a vulnerable experience, like trying to make someone laugh and putting yourself out there like that. Like when you get the laughs, it's like, oh yes, that's great, that's satisfying. And then if you don't, like you said, the 10 or whatever, you're like, I want to melt into the earth and die right now. So it's
that's funny. It's just like the same thing, like you post something and you think it's going to be great and it doesn't work out so well, and I'm just like, well whatever, just like, I just don't like. Now I had the same kind of mentality. Now it's like I just don't fucking care, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's good, I think it's valuable, and I'm not trying to sell it. Like, if I'm trying to sell something and like nobody's buying it, and you put something out there, you ask all the questions like, hey, would you sign up for this? Hey, are you interested in this? Like, I put so much work into this program's amazing. Like, yes, and you're getting like cricket. You're like, well, shit. I guess it's on me, it's on me, but but there it goes. But at the same time, if we're staying, and this is for everybody out there, right? If you're staying true to yourself, right? And you're offering whatever it is that you're selling, whatever it is that you're offering, whatever it is that you're doing, and you're authentic about it, people will come, but maybe just like the message that's coming out is skewed, right? It just needs to be direct, like in a different platform or directed differently to the right person. The people will come, and you can create community around everything. Like, hey, you see this black pen right here? Yo, if we meet up at midnight with our black pens, we can create something amazing. People are going to show up with a black pen.
True. I think that there's a group for everything. And I think people, especially now, in this post-COVID world, people really crave connection. And if you can give people that feeling of being seen, of being understood, of having people who are like them, you win, and it's just a matter of finding where to put your message.
Absolutely.
Where to put your message.
Go ahead, Brian.
And what advice would you give someone to find their niche? I mean, because we're all like similar on this Zoom. We're all similar, but we have like our own niche. So it's like, how would like someone new creating content, how would you recommend they find their niche?
I think I can only speak, like from my own experience. And I think you have to ask yourself, what is it that people regularly come to you for? What do people know you for? I think when you're starting to offer something online, it is often because you've offered this thing in person. And I don't necessarily mean like a product, but whether you're a yoga teacher or in the wellness industry, as you have clients and customers, or students, people will start to tell you things like, oh, I love when you do this, or I love that you always have this kind of music. I love that you tell us these things. I love your adjustments. I love your humor. I love that you don't take yourself too seriously. Whatever you tend to hear on repeat, that is probably something to pay attention to. And all combining that with what you personally know your strengths are is usually a combination that will lead you in a successful direction. Like for me, I never put I'm not big into spirituality. I mean, I am, but in my own personal life, I don't weave spirituality into my classes. And, that gets me a lot of criticism, but it also, more than criticism, it gets me people who are like, I'm so glad you don't do that. I'm glad that it's practical. I like that it's just applicable and straightforward. And so I lean all the way into that because that is me. That's what I like to do. I think I'm good at communicating these things. And the other piece is that my goal is always like, I really love when my students feel seen, like I am paying attention to them. So I rarely just go through speak through cues. Like, in yoga teacher training, you're taught how to cue things. I will say those cues, but when you're teaching and you're cueing people and you're looking around the room and you're like, literally no one is doing what I'm telling them to do. So I love those moments because then I'm like, okay, I gotta stop. And I will tell people, okay, everybody stop now. Look in the mirror and notice what your knee is doing here, or whatever the case is. So I take this exact thing and I put it, that's what I'm doing on TikTok. I'm like, what do I see people do over and over and over again? And how can I kind of gently, lovingly, in a fun way, call them out and be like, pay attention, And so Yeah, I think everybody has this. Everybody has a strength. And sometimes to find your strength, to uncover it, it takes time in your industry. So you need a little bit of practice. You're not going to know this right out the gate, as a new teacher, as a new massage therapist, as a new fill in the blank. It takes a little time. And then you'll start to hear those things on repeat that people tell you. I love that you do this. You're so good at that. And then you'll start to combine that with what your strengths are. Are you a great speaker? Are you good at communicating? Are you funny? Are you insanely good looking? Like what are the things
Yes.
that yes, obviously all of the above. But and then you can start to combine those, and that is your niche.
Yeah. That's really good advice, Erin. That's really, really solid. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, because I think as people continue to grow and as the world continues to evolve, so many more folks are now investing in themselves and building brands for themselves. And it's like they're trying to attract people and like they're trying to figure out the way to do it. And that's some really sound advice, Erin. So and from someone who has clearly done it. I mean, you've been an entrepreneur for a long time, and I think you told me before your husband's entrepreneurial too, right? So you guys, I mean, it's like you're all in on yourselves. Like that's it. Like there's no check coming on next Friday with the benefits taken out. It's not happening.
Totally. Sometimes I think about that and I'm like, oh, it's kind of like floating in the middle of the ocean. And you're like, good thing I don't think about this too often.
That's so funny.
You just go right back to pretending like it's not.
Now that how has life evolved for you? So now that your son is 2-ish. Yeah. So having brand, right? Family life, balance. Like, what is it like now balancing mom life, family life, work life? Because that's
super
tricky.
hard. It's so tricky. I think I really underestimated how tricky that balance would be. Now, I also will say that, having young kids is a difficult chapter in life. Yeah. I had an exceptionally difficult time. My baby, as a baby, he was like the kind of baby that people hope they don't get, like screamed for a year, colic for a year, just nonstop, day and night, didn't sleep, this kind of thing. So it was a very, very difficult transition. Now, he's 2, he's awesome. We have so much fun. He's so smart. You always think your kid is like the best.
Genius.
So, genius. Yeah. So, and I literally told him that the other day, and I was like, I got to stop, because there were 2 candles on the table, and he goes, Mama, 2 candles. And I was like, oh my God, call Mensa. My kid's going on,
He's coming over.
I know. So it's better now, but you're always torn between these 2 places. Like I want to fulfill this side of me, this, working and having a business. I want to do that, but I also don't want to miss any part of this little being's, upbringing. So you start to have this understanding that there's always going to be, when you're tending to one, you're pulling away from the other. And it's just toggling back and forth, making sure that the sacrifice on both sides is relatively equal, and whatever equal means to you. Yeah. So it's been tough. And because my husband and I do both work full time in this business, we have a good schedule where I have space to do what I need to do for work while he hangs out one-on-one with our son, and vice versa. So, we do give each other enough time to fulfill that professional side of our lives. But it is tough. It is so tough. So I bow down to all parents who I didn't understand before. It's a difficult balance to strike.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I think that finding the balance is the key. We all have kids. I have 3. Yeah. Brian has 1. Yeah, Brian's got Noah, and and it's finding it, and in obviously finding a balance within that, your partner and all the things is tricky as an entrepreneur, as someone that's taking time to do things, to create, especially. I always find it tricky. It's like if you have a really good idea, then you think it's like a winner, and they just come randomly. Like you're just like, you're just like outside in the backyard, like, whatever, tossing the ball around. You're like, shit, man, I got something. Like
Yeah,
I was looking at that tree up there and I got
yeah.
something.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like you put in your phone and like all the wheels are spinning, you know.
Yes.
It's in those moments that I have to really, for me, you know, I have to
Mhm.
scale back and remind myself like, wait, I'm in, you know,
Mm.
family time, you know, let me just put this in my phone so
Yeah.
I can take it out of here and store it somewhere
Yes.
nice,
Yes.
but come back to it. But I always find that tricky little balance of like, shit, I gotta go make this TikTok real quick. I'll be back, you know, but
Okay.
Yeah.
but not actually acting on it in the moment
Right.
all the time.
And then you
Yeah, I just
sometimes
make my
them.
kid take the TikTok.
Oh,
Yeah, there you
see?
go,
Yeah,
Brian.
he's-
Yeah,
yeah.
put him to work.
Genius. And then you've had those moments where you're like, oh, this is so good. I'll definitely remember it. And you don't write it down. And then like 3 hours later, you're like, I have no idea what I
Yeah.
thought I was going to do. Pheromone.
And it was so good. It was such a good idea too.
So good.
It was the
Yeah.
one. It
Yeah.
was the viral
Always.
post. Ah,
Always the one.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Aaron, now that you're doing so the pandemic, you were already doing mostly, I think you're doing everything virtual except for like your annual meetup that you had canceled last year.
Yeah.
You know, when you bring your community together in the hills of Virginia or wherever it was. That's off the top of my head. Maybe is it Virginia? Was I
That was
right?
really close. It was New Jersey
Okay,
in
close.
Princeton.
Like
Yeah.
1.5 states over, maybe.
Yeah.
You know, so close. Are you doing that again now? And did you do one this year in 2021 or no?
Did not know. I haven't done anything in person since 2019. Yeah,
Dang.
2019. And
Yeah.
you know, I would like to again, of course.
Sure.
I don't know when that's gonna happen. You know, it's like now we're in this habit of not getting together. So it almost feels like weird if I were to plan this big thing. Like, is that responsible? Should I do that? I don't
Yeah,
know.
Sure.
You know, I don't
Just
know.
questions. Yeah, just question. And if it just
Yeah.
feel and if you have, and that goes for anything out there, like I share this advice to people all the time, my unsolicited, right? If it's not a hell yes, like hell yeah, just for now, it's just a no right now. And that doesn't mean it's a no forever for something
sure.
like this, but just for right now, it's like that would just take too much energy to put into that. I'm just not sure that it's just right for the moment, you know? And
Exactly.
so, yeah, the timing really has to be right on things in life. And if it's so, I was just curious, you know, if you were doing something like that again.
Yeah.
So now, going forward, right? So now it's like, okay, now we're at this part of life. So what's next for you and Bad Yogi from here?
Well, we're planning for next year. I am going to officially start working in a little bit more strength training to our yoga stuff. I think it's very important, and also a lot of our community does this, but they don't have a lot of guidance for how to do it and how to do it safely at home, etc. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot more of that. Still primarily yoga, but supplementing with this other stuff, and going to do some more workshops. I think really just more of what we already currently do, but hopefully more more suited to what people want in this next year.
This next phase of life.
Yeah.
Yes,
I'm on your
get the
email
sweat
list.
on.
Yeah, get the sweat on. Yeah, the sweat's going on. Yeah.
I saw
I'm on-
that. Yeah, I saw some of your like other like the workout stuff, and I was like, I'm not ready for that yet. I just need more shavasana.
Yeah.
I need more like pelvic tilt stuff. My hips are just
Anterior pelvic
Close.
tilt.
There you
yeah.
go.
I need that. I have a super serious question. We're gonna get deep here.
Let's go.
Okay,
That
let's do it.
burger picture that you have, is that a real burger, and where can I get it?
So you know what's so funny? It is parts of it are real, parts of it are fake. The burger, like the meat part, was actually a chocolate chip cookie because this was taken so many years ago now, I hardly remember, but like the actual meat patty was too thin. It didn't look realistic in a picture. So we ended up like rummaging through our stuff, like what can we possibly use to make this look more burger like? And it ended up being like a packaged crappy chocolate chip cookie. So
Interesting.
behind the scenes.
and if you're not sure, we're talking about, this is Bad Yogi's like awesome profile photo, and apparently she's ageless because she looks the same age as she does now that she did then. So
yeah, it's the one photo I've stared at so much. That burger is just like, it's just the whole picture.
Yeah.
I'm like, yes. I'm sure you got a lot of hate for that picture. Did you? Did you get it? Like, oh my gosh, a yogi eating the biggest burger in the world?
And that picture was taken in like 2013 or something. So it
Jeez.
was, that was also, the yoga industry has evolved so much in the last
Yeah.
few years. So then that was super taboo, like yogis eating meat. I did also around that time, I did a one of the few brand partnerships I did with a sake company, and whoa, the amount of crap I got for that was insane. So note to
Crazy.
self, don't partner with an alcohol company if you are a yogi.
Sukiyaki Savasana bomb.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I thought it was
Yeah.
great, but
Oh man.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, me too. I'm
Yeah.
in. I like this, Erin. What do you think? So, shit, what was I gonna say, y'all? It was something about the burger. Oh no, Erin is the original creator of the Inhale Tacos, Exhale Negativity.
Yeah.
I am. I'm correct on that, right, Erin? I'm correct.
I think so. I think we made the unofficial statement in our last podcast together.
Did we? Okay. All right. So it's okay. We're reminiscing on that. But that, y'all, I just, in case you never listened to episode 20 in season 1, I think it's episode 20, that Erin is the creator of that, and she inspired a lot of like when I started making memes. Erin was a big inspiration for like just like watching her, like what she was doing. I think I reached out to her on DM to collab. She ghosted me, but it's okay, no worries. I had no clout. I had no status. I was literally, I was straight nobody.
Back then.
I had like 10 views.
no.
Let's use that reference. I had 10 views. And I was like, cool, like we should make something. And in my head, anytime I would reach, okay, but I'm putting this out there. Like anytime I would reach out to someone when I had like 1,000 followers, I'm like, let's do a collab. They'd be like, cool, like what do we do? Like, what are you thinking? I'd be like, oh shit, I have no idea. Like, cause I had no fucking clue what to do. Yeah. I just wanted to say like, hey, I'm working with Bad Yogi or whoever.
You got ghosted, man.
Right.
Yeah. Erin
Oh my
ghosted you
God,
back
I'm
in
so
the day.
sorry.
Okay.
It probably was not intentional. I mean, I do forget to like, I'll open a DM, read it, and be like, I'll go back to this later. I'm never gonna go back to it. You know,
it's like that TikTok idea when you were outside, like, it's gonna be a good one.
Yes.
Nope.
No,
Erin, you probably really just like saw his DM and looked at his page and like, this guy's just not funny at all. Like
this guy's straight lame.
No, you guys are great. You guys are always so funny. I've talked about that before with other people, like when we used examples of people who like do things really well in their niche, like you've come up in conversation before. So
yeah,
thanks.
Well, thanks for bringing us up. You know, it's like, and we're just staying true to to our values, right? Yoga, mindfulness, gratitude, practicing all those things. We have a touch of humor. We keep it light. We like to have inspiring conversations. We like to know what other people are doing within the yoga niche in the community and how they're elevating, you know, how you're elevating your personal, you know, your specific community, but ultimately that spreads out to the whole world, you know, over the course of like life. So we always appreciate amazing people like you coming on the show, and we appreciate you taking the time to be here with us and share some of your insight and your wisdom. The niche Q tip was super good. Like I have what I tell people when I have that question, but it's always awesome to hear it from another entrepreneur's perspective. And it's like, it's just great reminders. So thank you for sharing your infinite wisdom on this episode of the show.
Oh, of course. It's a pleasure. I think too, if you ask someone that question, you know, like what resonates with one person might be that answer versus another person might resonate with this one, and so on and so on. So even if it's a lot of times the same thing said in different ways, sometimes you just hear it one way and you're like, oh yeah, I get it now, you know.
Yeah, you get it. It's like taking the class, like the yoga teacher, like when I love when the student comes up after class, like, I heard you say when we were in triangle today, like lengthen my spine.
Right.
And I tell you that in every class, Carl. Like I tell you that every time. but today they were able to receive the download, the information, because you allow the yoga to meet you where you are. You allow the cues and the messages from whoever's sharing them to meet you wherever you are in the moment. And sometimes it just hits different. You know what I mean? Sometimes it just hits different, whether it's a different person or just you on a different day. You know? So in any event, I think that's good for this episode. I think that's amazing. Yes. I learned so much and I had a lot of fun. Erin, you're amazing.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you guys so much. I apprate you inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for being
here.
For
sure. We'll have to get you on again for sure in the future. Season three.
Season three. Year 2023.
For sure. Let's do it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here, everybody.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Peace.
Namaste, everyone.
Namaste.